Hey guys, I'm Dov, and today I'm back with more Total War Warhammer 2 online action. Today we're back with the Greenskins. They're going to be taking on the Empire. This is one of the games that I didn't get to cast on my channel from my recent tournament this last weekend, the Paymaster's Bounty. Lore Master of Sotek going to be facing Dipster, and as per the rules of the tournament, Lore Master of Sotek had taken Lizardmen, obviously, as his chosen faction, but decided to option into the Greenskins, which means he was limited in his lore selection and decided to take Skarsnik. So he's already popped that Tricksy traps on all the units in this pocket here. We've got 2 trolls and a couple squig herd as well, and the Gobbo Big Boss gives them a bit of extra speed and also gives them stock as well. So all these guys over here are stocked. In addition, we've got some Night Goblin Fanatics, 8-Peak Loonies, more Night Goblins, Rustiers with Night Goblin Archers, a Shaman, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Just lots and lots of goblins. Meanwhile, for the Empire, we've got Balthazar Gelt on a horse here with Final Transmutation, Plague of Rust, and Searing Doom. We've also got a Witch Hunter and a Warrior Priest supporting a front line of 3 Great Swords. It's backed up by some Spearmen, make that 4 Great Swords, another Spearman out in the flank, Sterlin's Revenge as well, a couple Halberdiers to break up the charge, some Spearmen, Roy Altdorf Griffites, and the Silver Bullets. So without further ado, let's get the battle underway. And yeah, the Hammer of Gork as well, going to be launching off shots in the back here, applying that nice blinded effect on these Great Swords. And with the Tricksy traps active, these trolls and the squigs are going to close the distance between these infantry lines very, very quickly. You can see the Witch Hunter starts to get bullied a little bit by the Gobbo Big Boss here, which is definitely a really good play. He is going to get hit by the accusation, but here comes the Wa in the front line, and the trolls and the squigs just going to smash straight into the Empire center. The Warrior Priest does drop his buffs to try and mitigate some of that damage, but with the Wa active especially, that is going to be some brutal damage done to these Great Swords by some relatively cheap units. I mean, the trolls are about 800, so they're not super cheap, but Final Transmutation goes down in the center. That will do pretty well against the trolls, and their leadership, of course, just isn't going to hold up. The Gobbo Big Boss also fizzling out pretty quickly. That initial charge just did so much damage to that big line of Great Swords, and that was where a lot of the Empire's power was. Meanwhile, in the back line, the Royal Altdorf Griffites there charging down some Night Goblin Archers. The issue is that there's just way more unit models than they're going to be able to occupy at any one time, so they're doing a good job ping-ponging back and forth. But you can see the Warlord's boys being dispatched here. They'll be able to sunder armor in melee, so even if the Rusty Arrows are occupied, like they are currently, they're still going to get that sunder armor effect for the other Gobbos to then fire in. You can see here, these Night Gobbos have occupied the Silver Bullets and the Spearmen. Very unfortunate to get the Silver Bullets occupied in melee there, but meanwhile over here, the Squig Hoppers, a little bit of Miss Micro here, getting them caught up by Halberdiers and the Sterlin's Revenge and so on, but still, in the main pocket, the Hammer of Gork continuing to fire away, and Balthazar getting back to his own lines here. A little bit out of position, is going to drop a Final Transmutation on Skarsnik, who has been in the center just pummeling this Warrior Priest. And Skarsnik, definitely not the best melee character in the world, but he'll do well enough against this Warrior Priest, who himself is not really meant as a combatant. He's more of a support character. And yeah, you can see the Warrior Priest definitely got the south end of that engagement. Balthazar comes over to try and get the Witch Hunter, support the Witch Hunter rather, against the Night Goblin Shaman there, but the Squig Hopper is going to come in, and you can see the Trolls and the Squig Herds also following up as well. The Gobbo Big Boss still online here, despite the earlier damage that he had taken. So yeah, the Warrior Priest gets chased off, and all of a sudden Balthazar is in big trouble as well. Gork will fix it, slowing him down, and the Poison as well, just debuffing his speed pretty severely there. The Witch Hunter also gets surrounded by Trolls and the Squig Hoppers, who of course have anti-infantry. And meanwhile in this center pocket here, yeah, there's lots and lots of damage going down continuously from the Hammer of Gork. And oh man, here comes a juicy Vortex spell. Looks like it's going to be a Curse of the Bad Moon from the Goblins, just wrecking the Empires in the center there. The Empire Great Swords in the center there. And it does apply a pretty nice debuff as well. You can see the Curse of the Bad Moon gives minus 30 armor, which is going to hurt the Great Swords more so than the Goblins. The 8-Peak Loonies, of course, are unbreakable, so all one of them that's left isn't really going to care too much, but the Great Swords, definitely not too happy about the situation. Meanwhile, over here, we've got Itchy Nuisance just debuffing all these guys. Probably not the best to have Trolls fighting against Spearmen, but at this point, there's not a lot left that the Empire can do, and there's going to be a bit of an uncontrolled here charge, potentially. Nope, looks like the Squig Herd did come back under control, and the Sterling's Revenge still online in the back line, but unfortunately the leadership and most of the killing power for the Empire is offline. The Royal Altar of Griffites just got dragged down in this massive horde of Gobos in the back line. There's just, you know, there's only a few of them, and there's hundreds of Gobos back here, so they just drowned in a sea of green, basically. And yeah, in the front line, the Trolls and the Squigs were able to clean things up. You can see the Sterling's Revenge now getting compromised by some Squig Hoppers, who will definitely get defeated in melee. Sterling's Revenge, definitely no pushovers, especially with the support of those Empire Halberdiers there, who definitely glad Empire Halberdiers are a bit better. Still not great, but in this matchup, I definitely think they're pretty solid. Yeah, the Sterling's Revenge resecure and start firing into the Trolls here, and they should be able to take a few down and see them off in terms of their leadership, but not before the Witch Hunter's already taken a lot of damage, and more Squigs following up, getting that Squig Skull Wild buff to hold their leadership together, at least momentarily, until they get routed off here. But the Empire has managed to bring back, in terms of the balance of power, you can see Skarsnik coming back from having chased the Warrior Priest off there. Some of the Great Swords regrouped in the woods as well, kind of hiding out and resting as well, not wanting to get hit by the Goblin Archers there. So we'll fast forward a little bit through this late game as both forces kind of reform a little bit. Unfortunately, the Empire just doesn't have the mobility to really chase off the Trolls, but it does look like they do get them off the side of the map there. Squigs may potentially rally over here. Does look like the Night Gobbo Shaman was able to rally, but the Great Swords have been discovered in the woods, and unfortunately they're way separated from their other troops here. Probably would have been better to try and march, and rather than hide in the woods, march all the way across and try and reunify with these other healthier units. But the Hammer of Gork still has some ammunition, so the Empire is going to have to advance across the field at some point to go deal with that. But yeah, these Great Swords here being exposed to lots of Gobbo missile fire and having to fight through more Gobbos in melee as well. Not going to be a very comfortable situation. You can see quite a few models dropping there. And yeah, it's just not going to be great. The Halberdiers and the Free Company Militia starting to push over and up on this side. You can see the Witch Hunter still holding the leadership together in terms of a heroic presence, despite the fact that Balthazar and the Warrior Priest have been chased off. But the Gobbo firing squad now going to turn and focus on him. And again, he's just one guy. I mean, he's got a pistol, he can shoot back, but he is going to get filled with arrows here. Even though the Gobbos aren't the most accurate in the world, they will miss quite a few. It doesn't take a whole lot because he doesn't have a whole lot of armor, and he's already pretty low on HP. You can see the Hammer of Gork is going to be firing in on the Sterling's Revenge there, who themselves are going to open up shots. And man, Free Company are such an awesome unit. Big fan of these guys, but here come the rocks. Ooh, looks like one of them managed to hit, and a really nice cast of the Fanatics there through the side of the unit as well. Just did a ton of damage, and all of a sudden the Sterling's Revenge are a little bit exposed here. The Halberdier's not quite fast enough to keep up. A little bit separated here, and the Sterling's Revenge are going to get routed off, just charged from multiple directions and shot as well. Yeah, definitely uncomfortable. And with that, that's going to tip the balance of power finally decisively in the Gobbo's favor, and Lord Master of Sotek going to take home the victory here. So very well played to both players, super fun battle. Always nice to see Empire versus Greenskins, kind of the classic, you know, orcs versus humans, or in this case, goblins versus humans. But yeah, always fun to see Skarsnik win as well, especially against the final Cheesemeister, Balthazar Gelt, if you weren't catching that. But anyway, fun stuff. Thanks to Lore Master of Sotek for sending that one in. Hope you guys enjoyed watching. In terms of the army breakdown here, yeah, Skarsnik taking out the Warrior Priest, definitely helpful to get rid of those support buffs, and then the frontline charge of the Squig Herd and the Trolls using the Trixie Traps there to punch those guys through the front line. Well, I should say advance them to the front line quicker, and then the Wah to punch them through. And then the Night Goblin Shaman also 52 kills with the Curse of the Bad Moon there, not too bad at all. The Night Gobbo Archers in the back line able to drag down the Royal Altar of Griffites, who were able to get 57 kills, but they're not really meant to fight big hordes of infantry. Due to their limited unit models, they will just get dragged down, and that is unfortunately what happened to them here. The Hammer of Gork able to fire more or less with impunity across the entire battle and apply that nice blind debuff to the Empire army. So very good stuff for Dipster here. The Great Swords, some of them were able to do alright. 101 kills here. And yeah, Balthazar did get some good work done with the final transmutations, and on the flanks though, getting the silver bullets caught up was really rough. Getting the altar Friphites kind of dragged down in the backline was also pretty rough. The Sterling's Revenge though, he's able to resecure with these guys and the unit of halberdiers, almost bring back, but I do think that leaving the great swords separated from the rest of his army is a little bit of a mistake. Granted, they're not fast enough to really get away from the Gobos, but it probably would have been better to at least try to reunify there and use the Sterling's Revenge and the halberdiers to try and spring the great swords loose and you know, get some value out of them. But nonetheless, it's tough to say in the heat of battle. So well played to both players. Hope you guys enjoyed watching that one. If you do like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification button so every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you next time.